Hello.
Good afternoon, dear students. I hope you could hear and see me well.
Yes.
Just waiting for thanks. Waiting for the other students because I see they um, coming and entering our session. Good afternoon to everyone. What I kindly will ask you to monitor your microphones and switch them off, so there will not be any distractions to our sound. By the way, you could use the signs and reactions which we have here in our team. Yes. So I think nearly all are here and we could start. So welcome to the course Global Business Environment. My name is Tatiana Yurievna Grishenko. I'm Associated Professor of the High School of Economics. I will introduce myself by sharing the screen. Just let me share screen with you.
Tatiana Yurievna, may we ask you to make the recording of the lecture? Will you?
Yes, good. Thank you for mentioning. Yes, recording in progress. Good. Yes. So it's our course, Global Business Environment. This is a big picture course where you, by the way, could train and apply knowledge, tools, competencies you gain during the previous 3 years, starting at High School of Economics in School of Economics and Management. And we starting this journey with you through the third and the fourth module. So at the beginning, I will explain you main outline of the course, and first would like to introduce myself. Maybe some of you have came across with me already. I'm working in the High School of Economics since 2014. At the moment, I'm academic supervisor of minor program in international business. Also, we're starting now project office in our school. So some of you will come across the project activities, and so we will be in contact with you in this field as well. I'm delivering courses both in High School of Economics, and also I'm guest lecturer in some European business schools. So at the moment I'm in Madrid. So actually it's a beautiful sunny day today in Madrid. So it's plus 14 degrees and very sunny. And here I'm at Madrid campus of Navarra University. It's the biggest private university in Spain. And the previous 2 weeks, I was delivering lectures in Lyon. I'm Lyon School of Management at the Executive MBA program in Lyon. So my main course is international business, organizational culture, international marketing, and design thinking. In my career, I considered both academic career and I also have intensive industry experience. So concerning industry experience, you know that there are 3 main tracks in business. In-house career, so be hired by company, management consulting or any consulting activities, and entrepreneurship. So I have experience in 2 tracks in international business. It's in-house career and management consulting. In in-house career, I was working for 5 years with the biggest family corporation in Germany. Now it has turnover of 4.5 billion euros. And particularly, I was involved in sales and strategic management department of this corporation. In management consulting, I had contracts with PricewaterhouseCoopers, Danske Energy Management, Belgium Integration, IBM Global Business Services, and I was involved particularly in monitoring and evaluation of projects. Mostly it was the project financed by European Union, so I was on the list of European Commission experts. And in my courses, I coincide both academic approach and industry approach. So this is particularly about me. I introduced myself, and I would like also to tell you about the course. Let me show you course outline, very brief. I hope you could see. It's another presentation. Yes, we're working in, I think, in all possible formats. So in France, I was working in also using WebEx. So just brief extract from syllabus, which students very often have a look in at the end of the courses usually, but I would like also you to introduce to the main issues in respect with assessment and assessment process in our course. So all materials you will have in Microsoft Teams, so there will be all files will be placed there. So in respect with our course, we will have 4 main elements of assessment. The course includes both traditional lecture segment. We will have 8 classes of lectures and 8 classes of seminars during the 3rd module, and it's a student activity segment. So we will try to introduce as much interactive elements in the course as possible. Also delivering lectures online. I will try to get feedback from you. I will highly appreciate if you will switch your cameras from time to time, especially for asking questions. And still, it's very nice to see faces of students. So be like dolphins from time to time showing over the surface. So there are 4 main elements of assessment. Just a second, let me... Just a second. Yes. It was not particular this one. This is the correct one. Yes. So I hope it's back. So 4 elements of assessment. I'm sure you already have experience of such assessment elements. First of all, homework. It will be a group project which you will be developing in groups, in teams, with a presentation during the last seminar at the end of the semester. Then in-class written test. This test will be based on the materials of seminars and lectures of the third module. So we plan this test. If you could see the particularly the plan. So we plan this test at the fourth module. Why at the fourth module? Because we will not do it just before the exam session, because before the exam session, I'm definitely sure you will be very much engaged in a lot of different control elements and assessment in the other courses. Then you will have exam session, so we will shift it to the first week of the fourth module. So our interim test will take place during the fourth week after the exam session, and it will be based on the material from the third module, both seminars and lectures. This test will consist of 20 questions. All questions could have more than one correct answer, but there will be no questions without correct answers, and you will have about 10 minutes in order to answer this test. Then in-class activities. In-class activities, it's all assignments, all exercises, all case studies you will deal with during the seminars. So concerning the class activities, please, if we plan this activity seminar during the seminar, so those students who will be absent without a reasonable situation for the absence, they will get a 0 point for particular this seminar or this task, this exercise, this case. If you have a reasonable situation why you are absent, and as you know, according to HEC regulation, it must be submitted within 3 days to the study office. So study office will confirm the feasibility of the situation. Then this element of class activities will be excluded from the interim final calculation of the class activities result. So that means that you will study this material yourself. You will not get grade for this seminar, but your absence will not influence your overall performance. And the last one is final written examination. Final written examination will take place during the exam session at the end of the fourth module. It will consist of the 40 questions, and 20 of these questions will be based also on the materials of the third module. So it's also, to some extent, not so stressful, because already you will be aware of the test after the third module. So both materials from the third and the fourth module from seminars and lectures will be a base for the final written exam. Also, some main points I would like to draw your attention to. First of all, again, 4 elements of our final assessment. Important question which students are usually asking about after math. Yes, whether it's possible to escape from the final exam. Yes, it is possible if you will be excellent, if you will show excellent performance during the semester. So you could see here we have final grade and we have accumulated grade. So accumulated grade is particularly 3 elements which will be fulfilled during 2 modules. It's class activities, the intermediate test after the third module, and the homework, your project. So if you will get excellent grade as a sum of 3 activities for class, test, and project, and you will get 8, 9, or 10 points, then you're not required to pass final exam. So upon your decision, in this case, your accumulated grade will be counted as a final grade for the course. Yes, in my experience, I don't remember any cases when students showed up during the exam when they got this excellent accumulated grade. I also would like to pay attention to the academic honesty policy. So unfortunately, sometimes we're coming together with our colleagues across situations that students still using plagiarism in the written works. So please, I strongly recommend you to, if you're using any secondary source of information, just work over it. Don't do copy paste. It will actually will have negative result and not very nice consequences for you, as well as not getting the satisfactory grade for the work done. So just a small reminder about it. The rounding method of the final resulting estimates arithmetic in our course. So this is briefly what I would like to tell you about the main things in respect with our course main points. Any questions right now? Yes, and I also would like to introduce my colleague. I'm very glad that I'm delivering this course with Konstantin Sergeyevich Nefedov. Konstantin Sergeyevich will be professor in, yes, we could see Konstantin Sergeyevich. Yes, very nice to see. A very young, but at the time a very experienced lecturer, professor in our school, and we both will be responsible for this course. So I will be delivering seminars in the first, second, and third group, and the other 4 groups, Konstantin Sergeyevich will be a professor. Yes, I've seen the raised hand. You could switch on the microphones and ask the question.
Actually, I've already rethought, but still, I will ask it anyway. So I'm not really, it was not really clear regarding the aftermaths. So if we have like NACOP 4.51, then we could not go to the exam, or how should we calculate it?
Once again, let me show it.
Like here, still for the aftermath, there could be a situation then for some homework or something like that, we get like 7, but still the average grade will be like maybe higher than 8.
So we have the rounding methods of final resulting estimates arithmetic. So if according the rounding method you get 8, 9, or 10 points for the 3 elements, class activities, test, and project, then upon your decision you could not show up at exam. So your excellent grade for accumulated assessment will be automatically counted as a final one.
But anyway, we should like plug in 10 for the final exam, so that to get the final grade and to see whether it is 8 or high, right? Or I'm wrong?
I didn't get your question. If you will get 8 points, you still would like to go to exam to get 10?
No, I mean, Okay, then I will think, and if I still will have some doubts, I will write you directly. Yeah, or ask.
Okay, but I suppose it's more or less very similar to the old situation with so-called automat. Yes, automatically counted accumulated grade. So last year, the final formula for assessment was changed at the HSC. So we don't have this accumulated grade plus exam. So exam is included in the final formula. So we have 4 elements in the final formula. At the moment, it's the overall in the High School of Economics. But still, we would like to give privilege to the students who will show the excellent performance during the semester, and particularly for these 3 elements, which you will receive grades during the semester, except final, the 4th final exam, you could get automatically excellent grade for the whole course. So I will kindly ask all students, if it's clear to you, could you show me any reaction like this? You got it. So I could see that you are, yes, thank you. Other students, if you are with us here, please give me your reaction. Good, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. So then I'm moving to the questions. I see that Konstantin Sergeyevich has answered to some of them. Yes, we will have today 2 classes. So 4 academic hours of lectures. You will not have weekly, you will have homeworks, but they will depend on our schedule, and they will also depend, sometimes some activities will be carried out, particularly in class. Some of them you will have more, which will be more time consuming than you will fulfill outside the class at home. So in respect with forming teams with the other students, you have to discuss it with your professor at the seminar, sorry, because it's very important for be counted and be included into the final student sheet, so you will not be lost. Then you have to discuss it together with the seminar professor. So 4 or 5 students in one team. At the moment, I can't tell about the particular format of the exam. It will depend on the overall situation, how it will, what will happen spring. So we don't know which particular format it will be. So if it will, we will definitely inform you in advance. But it will depend on the overall situation in this COVID pandemic situation. Yes. Yes, thank you, Konstantin Sergeyevich, for clarifying issues. Yes, 2 lectures today, that is true. Yes, I have accumulated, I have accommodated these lectures in my today's schedule in business school in Madrid, so particularly to allocate time for your course. Yes, good. So I suppose I already have answered all of your questions. So let us move to the first topic. Also, we will prepare with Konstantin Sergeyevich a quiz for you, and it's very important for you to share with us your background, particularly in strategic management, your experience in the management and business, and your expectations from the course. So I will kindly ask you when we will announce this quiz, I will kindly ask you to participate and fill in the answer the questions. Then it will be very helpful for us for planning the course particularly. Any further questions? You could write them in the chat as well. And so let me switch to today's topic. As I have already mentioned, we will try to introduce interactive elements in our course. So I'm using usually Mentimeter.com. So Mentimeter is a kind of Kahoot. Probably some of you already came across this experience. My first question to you: what are the three main global challenges in the business nowadays? So you have the voting code. You could go to menti.com, fill in the voting code or use QR code, and you could enter this quiz for 3 times. It's just the cloud, word cloud. So please write there what challenges you suppose to be the main and most important for business nowadays. And then we will look into the results. Very interesting. So I hope you could see the screen and you could see the results of and your ideas. Yeah, just a second. I did it too big. Okay, so we could see the results. Absolutely agree with you. Pandemic, COVID, coronavirus, digitalization, COVID-19, cultural differences, changing environment, again environment, globalization. Yes, a lot. So I see definitely a lot of challenges you have named around pandemic, a new pandemic reality. Also, we could see cultural differences. We could see high competition, difficult, yes, difficulties with others, consumer service, uncertainty. Yes, exactly. So absolutely agree with you. This COVID pandemic reality was quite challenging for the global business in general, as well as the individuals, householdings, families. And we could say that now we absolutely are aware about three main challenges of global business, which influencing a lot what is going on in the global environment nowadays. So these three men, just to summarize, and you will see that this is particularly what we are speaking about. I hope you see the presentation. So of course, definitely to summarize what has been presented in the chart, it's speed of change and management of change. So the speed of change increased tremendously, and management of change is the hottest point on the agenda for every business. And we will look, for example, at the global companies, and we will look into the main most valued brands in the world, and we will see how these brands really could survive during this pandemic time. And it's not a surprise, but some brands and some global companies during this COVID time not even survived, but they increased their performance tremendously. And it's not only pharmaceutical companies, even if it will be very surprising for us. But the companies which really increased their brand value were not in the field of pharmaceutical industry. And we will discuss also the reasons why did it happen this way. And the first seminar we will start with you next week, particularly will be based on the situation which we have now in the global business, and particularly we will see the results of COVID influencing the global business. We will check how the measures or different approach of the countries, like for example Sweden and Finland, both northern countries, but with absolutely different approach towards coronavirus, anti-coronavirus measures. What the consequences of the introduced approach were to the business in these countries. And not only Sweden and Finland, but there also will be quite interesting other examples of cross-country comparison. So the second very important challenge, increasingly tech-centric world. We will speak about innovations in our course. We will come across the Cambridge Analytica case. Cambridge Analytica, the British consulting company which was involved in Trump presidential campaign of 2016. Also, it was involved in Brexit voting in United Kingdom, and not only these countries. And we will discuss how particularly this innovation introduced by Cambridge Analytica, which was one of the first companies introducing this approach, completely changing the traditional marketing approach or traditional marketing concepts which were introduced in the middle of the 20th century. We will discuss the issues of big data, because I'm sure already at the third year of education you're aware that big data is not advantage. The advantage is how the company organized in order to use this big data. And then you also have mentioned, and we have seen it among the words in our big cloud, things concerning culture, organizational culture. If you remember from the course of management, at the beginning of development of management theories and management thought, coming back to Frederick Taylor, a person, an employee, was not somehow important or significant part of business model in the company. So mostly organizations were focused on production process, and the source of excellence, efficiency and effectiveness particularly was in production. And nowadays, in the 21st century, and also we will discuss some research recently done, why people are so much in the core attention of organizations. Organizational culture became extremely important focus. We're switching from the customer-centric organization to people-centric organizations, where our first clients, our internal clients, our employees. So in order to satisfy the external customers, our traditional focus customers, as kings, first the companies have to satisfy the needs of the internal clients, the staff of the company. So in the 21st century, and especially in the COVID time, it became obvious that people are the main asset of the company. And we will discuss with you the organizational culture, particularly in a global environment context, and particularly we will discuss how actually this new approach is introduced in the companies, with the cases of such companies, and what are the main trends in organizational culture theories. So definitely you already aware about the organizational culture theories like 6 cultural dimensions of Gerd Hofstede, Handy, Lewis, Edgar Schein, and so on. But we again will come across with you and we'll discuss particularly what are the modern approach in the organizational culture implementation in the global companies worldwide. Yes, so as a first challenge, change. Shift happens and change now is a norm. Change drives our world. And if before, for example, at the end of the 20th century, change was a kind of something extraordinary, something that we have to approach from time to time during the crisis times, we could say that now this change will be a normal part of our life. And the level of stress on the workplace increased, and it will stay on this level constantly further. So we have to understand it, that it's a normal, new normality and new part of our life. And for the companies, of course, business and world are changing, and they will continue to change. And tomorrow's winners will be tomorrow's losers, could be. And I could say that all companies could be divided into 3 kinds. One, companies which are really keen on the possible trends. They not only follow the trends, they are creating these trends. These companies, which are headed by visionaries and great practitioners, and we know these companies are among the top ranked workplaces and top ranked brands in the world. The second group of the companies which are watching the trends, and they try to follow. Particularly the companies which are the visionaries. That is why benchmarking, which was so much in trend in the 20th century, at the beginning of 21st century, now very often seems to be outdated. Because nowadays it's not important to be as best as the leader in the industry, but you have to be different. In order to gain profits, in order to be effective, you have to introduce something absolutely unique. You have to differentiate from the others in the industry in order to get your blue ocean and in order to get your excellent performance. So, so nowadays it's important to be not as good as the others, but you have to be unique and different. So, and the third group of the companies, there's potential tomorrow's losers who are just asking what actually has happened, what is going on. So definitely these companies are not on track, and we have examples of these companies. Of course, if we'll take the world of smartphones, where these trend companies of 90th years, Motorola, Nokia, so we can't see them at the moment. Nokia has shifted to another market segments, but in general, we can't see them among the leaders in the industry anymore. So at the beginning, before discussing with you the history of architecture, world economy architecture, and the regulation of international business, I would like to pay your attention to the main trends which taking place, and these trends were accumulated by German Gref, who is CEO of Sberbank. It was a result of field visit, which was taken on annual basis before 2020 to the Silicon Valley, to the CEOs of Silicon Valley company. Just about small excursus in the history of Sberbank. So Sberbank, it was the biggest bank in the Soviet Union, and due to its wild chain of branches all over Russian Federation, it still remains the biggest bank in the Russian Federation. But of course, if the company was created and functioned during the Soviet time, it was necessary to change its business model and to change the idea of this bank, because otherwise it simply will not exist. It has quite strong possibility for existing after the crash of the Soviet Union, but these strengths will not last for a long time. So rebranding was needed. The first attempt of rebranding was taken in 2009. So it was quite a resource-consuming exercise. So we could see what actually was done. There were a lot of jokes in the internet about this rebranding. Yeah, so what actually in the internet the users proposed, taking into account the approach of Sberbank to its rebranding. Of course, changing the logo did not influence the situation. So surprisingly, nothing has been changed. Situation improved when German Gref, who was the former Minister of Economic Development of Russian Federation, became CEO of Sberbank. He wrote a book, We Must Prove That Elephants Know How to Dance. Да, слоны умеют танцевать. And I recommend you to read this book, because this book about the story how Sberbank of this a new life of Sberbank, and not very easy story of rebranding of Sberbank, which was carried out by German Gref and his team. There is also quite interesting CEO survey, which is carried out on annual basis by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And if you are interested, I strongly recommend to look into these annual surveys. So there was interview taken with German Gref, also in respect with this annual global CEO survey done by PricewaterhouseCoopers. There were quite important issues underlined by German Gref in this interview, and one of them was particularly about the future of Sberbank and the necessity of further changes. As example, German Gref named the change in business models of Swiss banks. As we know, Swiss banks are famous for their very sensitive and attentive approach towards the personal data of their clients. So we know that the personal data of clients inside the walls of Swiss banks actually was absolutely top secret. And the first time for centuries, the personal data of Swiss bank went out of the walls due to the necessity of partnership with a cloud company. So a Swiss bank set a partnership with a cloud company in order to use these cloud technologies for keeping and processing of data of the bank clients, and especially for possibility to introduce big data analysis to the client's database. And yes, partnership with the cloud company is necessary if you would like to introduce any big data analysis approach in your business. The comparison done by German Gref between the traditional banking industry and fintech. So if in traditional bank a decision could be implemented within, for example, months, the same 4 or 5 decisions, changes, improvements could be implemented in fintech within a day or couple of days. So this speed of change, tremendous difference in the speed of change between fintech and traditional banks, also pushed German Gref for conclusion that Sberbank has to change its business model, introducing fintech technologies there. Otherwise, he predicted that in 10 years, Sberbank will not exist anymore, just due to this absolutely new competition which will take place. We were speaking a lot about business models nowadays, and also one of his statements was the comparison of old business model and new business model. So for the plenty of time, centuries, the business model was the model of competition was big beats small, and that was a big also. It was a great criticism towards corporations, multinational corporations, which entering the local market were beating so-called the local small businesses, just swallowing them or pushing them out of the market. So it was traditional formula, big beats small. Nowadays, the first time for centuries, due to the high-tech intervention in business and the necessity of change management, and the speed of changes, the new model of competition is more sound updated to the current situation. Fast beats slow. So size doesn't matter nowadays. If you even small company, but you could develop globally. So as the marketing director of Google said during the TED talk, everyone could be in global business from the first day just entering internet. So we could say that yes, fast beats slow. Speed is very important. Speed of change is extremely important nowadays for the positive performance of the company. So let's look quickly to the 27 key ideas from the report of German Greff. As a result of the discussions with CEO from Silicon Valley and the Russian CEOs. First of all, very important, no more competition between services or products. So there is only competition between the models of management. It also straightly connected with the very tough competition which takes place nowadays. And particularly because of the increased competition, and increased competition was one of the words which actually you wrote in our cloud. I completely agree with it. So competition became this driver for a lot of changes in business nowadays. And it's a reason why a lot of traditional models from the 20th century, from strategic management, from marketing, are not working anymore today. Yes, the Chinese copy everything too quickly. And we will also discuss with you value-based approach to understanding whether our resources are sustainable competitive advantage or not. We will discuss this tool with you as well in our course. But as German Greff mentioned, while we're discussing business idea during the breakfast, Chinese already implemented in production during the lunchtime. Second idea, today there are 5-7 times more changes than in 2006, for example. Yes, extremely amount of changes, and due to COVID, I could say that take into account the projects, as I'm also involved in the project activities with companies and project activities with our students, particularly ordered by the companies. So for the last 2 years, I carried out with students projects together with our foreign partners from the Dutch Avans University and the French Lyon Business School of Management, where particular was doing a lecture last week. So it was a joint international virtual mobility project for the students of these business schools, and the clients were the real companies. So it was L'Oréal Russia, their headquarters in Moscow. It was Pernod Ricard. With L'Oréal Russia, we checked the changes in the business model, and particularly launching marketplace for the brands of L'Oréal in Russia. In comparison, regarding Pernod Ricard, it was a project of bringing Jameson, yes, it's whiskey brand, Jameson Black Barrel to the Russian market. Also, it was a project with our very good corporate partner Tele2, Tele2 company, mobile operator, one of fourth big four mobile operators in Russia. and particularly it was in the field of design thinking. So it was quite interesting to see how during these 2 years the company needs have changed, and they changed a lot. So mostly what companies are looking at the moment, and what is the one of the most hot topics, which actually was not even recognized by the business school so much 2 years ago, it's the user experience, it's design thinking, and why user experience and design thinking became such a hot topic, particularly because companies are changing their business models. And to change business model, it's a really serious resource consuming exercise for a company. And without introducing new technologies for changing our business models, it's absolutely impossible to be on track in the modern global environment nowadays. And as once Steve Jobs answered to a question why Apple is using so widely the user experience, he answered that if we will ask our potential clients, customers, what kind of smartphone they would like to get, we will get smartphone with microwave. So this is particular why we will not be asked about anything in the coming, in the nearest future. And we will discuss how actually the new techniques in management and business will draw us to the situation when there is no need to ask your real potential customer about anything. You will know everything by yourselves using the modern techniques. So yes, in the case of Apple smartphones, the research done was that a lot of clients are using their smartphones during the lunchtime, for example, communicating their friends, families, beloved ones, and so on. And what people are doing during lunchtime, very often they will just warm their food and communicate through smartphones. So smartphone with microwave. And the same was the idea of Henry Ford, who said that he will ask people what they want before actually a car was invented and produced. He will ask people what they want. They will say more faster horse. So what actually nowadays companies very much would like to know introducing these changes. They would like to know how to use, how to implement user experience which doesn't exist yet. And we are living in an extremely interesting time, because in the business and management we have so many interesting career tracks which did not exist 15 or even 10 years ago, where you could really implement your talents. The key factor in the business model, the team and culture. Yes, also in your words in our cloud were about culture a lot. Yes, people are in the core attention of the companies. So when moving to a new mental model, for example, open space office, the loss of 30–50% of personnel is the norm. Absolutely agree, and we will look to the also cases discussing the organizational culture. And we will come across this or that percentage of personal loss, personal turnover in the companies as a result of moving to a new mental model. If you remember the song "Пить Repeat" by group Leningrad, if you think that it's about drinking alcohol, it's not true. It's particularly about management and mental models of organizing business. So if you remember at the very beginning of this video, what we could witness, we could see that the office, modern one, organized with the open space, in the open space format. We see employees dressed according to the dress code of the company. We see the modern environment, premises, furniture, computers, and then we see the boss, so the head of the director, head of the department or whatsoever. He is divided from people with a glass wall. And when he asked one of his employees to come inside this glass wall, we see how immediately the organizational culture in this company falls from looking so people oriented on the surface. It falls down absolutely to the red level, probably like Soviet Union administrative command system of organization, of organizing human resource management in the company. So yes, it's about management a lot, and it's about the organizational culture in the companies. It's interesting, but according to the research, those who mostly live in the company are not the middle level of employees, but a lot of losses takes place among the top management, and this is quite a painful situation for the company. Especially this moving to the open space office caused a lot of losses among top management, because top management was not ready to be, Russian top management was not ready to be among people, not to be divided from employees by office with secretary who will protect them from the other people and organize the office life for the top management. So top management didn't want to lose its offices with nice furniture, calm atmosphere, and things like this. So this was quite interesting. It also was underlined by German Greff. So a lot of losses in the particularly top management during the changing of mental models of organizing HR in the company. The next idea, in 2-3 years, the blockchain technology will bring to naught the need for banks. Every citizen will receive an account directly in the central bank from birth. Blockchain technologies, we will discuss them also later. But definitely this alternative technology, alternative to traditional banking, is still causes a lot of questions, especially in corridors of state power, state authorities, about losing, potentially losing control over the transactions and things which happens with money flows within the country and outside the country and in the country and so on. At the same time, I mentioned that there are new professions in management, and I could say one of the most profitable one in the field of electronic contracts. Because at the moment there are not too much people who are very well aware what is it. who could understand the problems and constraints of e-contracts. And consultants in the field of e-contracts, I could say nowadays one of the most highly paid consultants in the management consulting. Why it's so different? Not always we could straightly bring offline process into online format. In digitalization, very often we come across absolutely new challenges for business people. And in e-contracts, we are coming across the situation that everything is very evident and transparent. So everyone could see the access to the contract is quite transparent. And in this case, there are much more risk that constraints or mistakes in the contract will negatively affect the result of the deal. And there are already quite bright and loud examples of it. And we could say that professionals in the field of electronic contracting nowadays are on a great demand on the market. We will discuss with you contracting in general. I'm not sure if you have already, as a international business students, came across about the international contracts. What are they about? How they look like, and what is particularly the international, how international scheme of international transaction looks like. But we will look at it with you in our course, and you will have a small exercise in order to try to build the scheme of this international deal yourselves. Collective decision, not a skill, but a part of organizational culture. The next idea, 2-pizza team, the maximum size of an effective group, 10-15 people. In this case, German Gref is about American size pizza. It's bigger than European or our pizza, so it's a big one. So yes, teams are I could say that usual maximum size of a working team is 10-13 people. Even during my experience working in management consulting, I remember with PricewaterhouseCoopers, it took us 2 weeks in order to get approval of increasing our team from 13 consultants to 15 consultants. So we have to provide a lot of arguments in order to explain why we need these 2 people and why still our project will be our project team will be a working entity. Collaboration is not only emotional intelligence. Culture is a business process supporting it. Emotional intelligence nowadays is extremely important, and I could say that emotional intelligence now beats the EQ beats IQ. And there is a very famous expression: we are hired for hard skills and we are fired for soft skills. So and it's strongly connected with the idea that core of attention of organizations is more and more shifting towards people. People are in the core of attention. That is why emotional intelligence is extremely important. What is it? Emotional intelligence, just to remind you, it consists of 2 main parts. So one part is particularly about yourselves. So first of all, and the first point you have to start with, to understand yourself. So if you're not understanding yourself, that's a failure. And it's very difficult to understand yourself. We have the whole big industry of psychology and psychology therapy, particularly to support people's intention to understand themselves and to deal with themselves. So the first part, important part of emotional intelligence, to support yourself, or to, understand yourself and to deal with yourself. You have to understand yourself and know how to interact with yourself. And very often it's complicated. We all know it. And already the second part, which also important, but I could say it comes second, is understanding other people and interacting with other people. So very often emotional intelligence just fell on one side, is about other people, but we have to remember that it consists of two parts, and we have to start with the first part of emotional intelligence from ourselves. Informal collaboration is initiated by formal tools. For example, the center of the office should be the place where people interact. So nowadays, the design of offices, of office premises, is not about the idea of a designer, about ergonometric approach towards the furniture or elements of the office, but now the office has to be built around and on the communication of people. So nowadays it is the most advanced workplaces, the great workplaces which we know, like for example Apple, Google, ВКонтакте, Yandex. They introduced this approach that the office is built around people. So not people are placed in the office, but the office is built around people and people's needs. That is why these workplaces are called great, and they're so highly ranked in the global workplace rankings. You get what you control and motivate, not what you expect. This is also a great statement, because control and motivation are two main elements of balance and engine for success. So if we will look into the stories of the most outstanding visionaries and great business people, like Lou Gessner, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, we will see that these people manage to balance between control, requesting people to fulfill their task assignments, their to keep the deadlines, and this motivation and creativity. So particularly this art of business is the most important thing characterizing the success of these business people and their companies. The next idea, more and more services with if you are unhappy, we will refund money. And we know already this, more and more companies are working according this idea. For example, the first I remember immediately Vkusvil, and also you could name other companies as well. Also, it's about trust. It's an important thing. It's about trust. It's about also growing up together with your clients, with your customers. And it's a lot about values. So we will come across values discussing the organizational culture. Why values are so important. If you open the websites of the companies, nearly all websites will provide you this section, our values. The other question is whether the employees of these companies are really well aware about these values, and if these values really coincide with the values between values, between the company values and employees' values, because employees and the company must have the same values. And the most great companies already have introduced their hiring procedure based on the values of the company in order to attract and hire particularly the people with the similar values. So the last one before the break. There are areas such as insurance where the service will soon fall in price at once 10 times. Mostly it's about digitalization. So digitalization definitely will decrease costs of some in some sectors of economy, in some industries, particularly when automatization will replace people, offices, and the need for the premises, equipment. People sitting in these offices simply will not be so important anymore. Yes, so let us stop here, and in 20 minutes we will meet with you again, and we will continue discussing the main aspects of international business nowadays. Слоны умеют танцевать. Daria, exactly. Yes, because thank you for reminding me this Russian name of the book. I have it in Russian, but I can't remember the name in Russian. Yes, слоны умеют танцевать. Yes. 7.5 is 8. If you have any problems with arithmetic rounding, Google it. Arithmetic round, what is it? And you will find, yes. So 7.5 is 8.